Don't look at me. I don't know where the chapter is. Do you know where the chapter's at, Barry? Of course you don't. You're just an intern. I don't know why I bothered asking you. It's looking like it's going to be delayed a few days, which sucks. It might actually just be Monday when it comes out, the same as the official release for Viz anyway. So that might be the standard day from now on. I'm not sure. It might still come out earlier than that. It might even come out today, but I'm not very hopeful for that. So we'll just have to wait and see, really. We're going to do this video today instead, while we wait for it. Actually, if it comes out on Mondays anyway, then that works for me, because then I could just do the review based off the official Viz translation. And don't freak out. I know that might be a little, scary at first when the date, like, shifts, but I've been reading manga online since I was, like, a freshman in high school, and the date does change every so often, every few years. It's like a natural order of things or something. Way back when I first started reading it, they came out on Fridays. Then Wednesdays for a little while, then Thursdays, then back to Fridays where we're at right now. So shifting to Mondays, it just kind of happens. But it might come out earlier than that. I don't know. So yeah, instead we're going to be talking about some various ships in the One Piece world. Do you guys like ships? That's really going to be the determining factor if you like this video or not. If your answer to that question is, yeah, Tekking, I freaking love ships! They got sails and they're made of wood and they go around and they're really cool, then this is going to be fun for you then. You're going to love this. It's going to be a freaking magical adventure. If instead your answer to that question is, Tekking, I don't really care for ships too much. You know what I really prefer? One Piece Chapter 952. I'm like, well, sorry, I'm not a magician. I can't pull it out of my pocket here. But, over in Japan, with the release of, the movie Stumpidu, we find out the designs and the names of every single ship that are captained by members of the worst generation, the 11 Super Rookies, or Supernovas, or whatever you want to call them. Artor, he's over in Japan right now. He saw the movie Stampede. He wrote an article about this. He translated it all out, so thanks to him. Links to all his stuff below, as always. And by the way, keep in mind, even though there are 11 supernovas, there's only 9 ships, because 2 of the supernovas are actually, they're not the captains of their own vessel. They work on other crews. Like, Killer is on Kid's crew, and then you have Zoro on Luffy's. They left Zoro off that poster. Damn it! Why does that always happen with Zoro? Okay, remember back in Totland, minor caveat, remember back in Totland at the very end when Morgans was sailing away on his magical news coup balloon and Stussy was with him? In the anime, Morgans is talking about the supernovas, and they show different, scenes of the different supernovas all together, right? Except for Zoro. He leaves Zoro out for some reason. They include Killer, but not Zoro, so you can't say that's the reason, just because, maybe he was only talking about the captains. No, he uses Killer. So, like, I know that, without Zoro, it's a nice even 10, and you include Zoro and it brings up, like, the number to 11, which is, like, an odd number, but hey, you set the rules. Whoever had a higher bounty than 100 million at Sabaody becomes a super rookie. Guess what? Zoro had a higher bounty than 100 million. He's a super rookie, damn it! Represent! Alright, so anyway, yeah, there's only 9 ships to talk about. 3 of which we already knew about. The Thousand Sunny, the most obvious, the most famous ship in the entire story, rivaled probably only by the Going Merry. Of course, it's the ship of the Straw Hat crew. I made a whole video about that. Not really gonna go into huge detail on it right here. It's a pretty cool ship. We all love the Sunny. Although, I wanted to bring up at this point the original name that Frankie had for the Thousand Sunny. Remember that? Because they couldn't really decide on the name at first, and, they were throwing out various names, and Frankie's in the background like, don't worry, guys, I've already thought of a name. After all, I'm the one that came up with the blueprints for the damn thing, and I, got the material to build it, and I did indeed build it. I spent weeks hammering away, building this perfect ship for you guys. I feel like I'm bonded with this ship, so I came up with the perfect name. It's the new Battle Frankie Lion Gang Champion. And then like, how about Thousand Sunny? And like, oh, that works great too. And Frankie's like, oh, okay, well, I guess I don't get to name. All right, well, yeah, Thousand Sunny works. I guess we'll go with it. So, a little bit too much of a mouthful, but I like that name, alright? Poor Frankie. So, yeah, watch that video if you want to know more about the Thousand Sunny. The other one we get to see is the Polar Tang, which is the Heart Pirates submarine. We don't get to see that many subs in the series, so that's pretty cool. Looks neat. It has a yellow design, kind of similar to one of Law's coats that he has inside. It's not a huge submarine, but it has like an operating room because he's a surgeon and all that stuff. Outside of the Straw Hat crew, the Heart Pirates are probably the smallest in terms of, like, just crew size. It seems like all the other crews have a decent number, like a normal number you would expect for sailing vessels, like a few dozen crewmates at minimum. When it comes to the Heart crew, there's only 20, then of course the Straw Hats have only 9, possibly 10, but that's the situation there. So not like a huge vessel, but certainly big enough for the Heart crew, and they're able to kind of sneak in and out like the way they got into Marineford, and then they managed to escape, you know, Kizaru's attacks from underwater. That was pretty cool. It's a neat ship, okay? Then you have the Nostra Castello, which was, of course, Bege's ship. We get to see this a lot during Totland. It actually gets destroyed at the end of that arc. Pretty cool vessel. It's designed on Bege's fruit because he has the Shiro Shironomi and he can turn into a castle man. The ship has a bunch of bricks that make it look like a castle fort. And fun fact, one of Barry's actual, he has a friend that he went to high school with that was actually one of the bricks on the Nostra Castello. So that's pretty neat. You know, it all ties back together, doesn't it, Barry? Yeah, well, I guess you're doing a little bit better than your friend is right now. You know, his ship kind of burned down. Now, keep in mind, in the movie Stampede, the Nostra Castello is just there. The movies do not follow strict canon. I mean, it's the same question. It's like, where does this take place in the timeline? All of the Straw Hats are together, so it has to take place after Wano, but the Nostra Castello's there. I guess they could have rebuilt it, but, you know, you don't do that. There's a reason why the Straw Hats didn't just build a brand new Going Merry at Water 7. It's because they would know in their heart of hearts it's not the true Going Merry. And, you know, I have to say, though, I really did enjoy the scene when the Nostra Castello was burning down, and the fire tank pirates were, like, visibly upset by that. They didn't just treat it like, oh, the ship's burning down, let's get out of here. Oda knows that, like, a ship is extremely important to any pirate crew, to the point where they would view it as, like, a member of their crew. Like, the soul of the fire tank pirates was in the Nostra Castello, and now it's burning down, okay? So even though it's, like, kind of crazy with Big Mom and the cake and everything, Oda took the time to really show, yeah, the fire tank pirates, you know, they're upset by that. I mean, Beiji's looking on kind of, you know, upset. He's not crying, of course, because he's a mafia boss. He's got to stay strong, but the crew is obviously dejected by this on the same level that the Straw Hats were when the Going Merry was burned, or if the Thousand Sunny was damaged to the point where they had to get rid of it. I mean, they would be upset by that. Any crew would be. So that's pretty neat that they showed that. But I love the Nostra Castello. Really sweet. It was amphibious. You can make the tank treads come out of it, you know, indicative of Beiji's ability to turn his legs into tank treads, so it can get up on land, and it, like, sumoed with Oven a little bit. It actually ran Oven over. That was kind of funny. And then eventually, though, Oven gets back at it by burning it down with his Netsu no Mi powers. So, rest in peace. And now, of course, we have the badass fire tank pirates led by Capone Gang Beige, Master Mafia Don of the West Blue, sailing around in a giant cupcake. That would have been funny if they would have used that in Stampede. Everybody, we get to see all the badass Supernova ships, and then we just see Bege arrive. Like, oh, are we late for the Pirate Expo? And it's a giant cupcake. Also, by the way, it's in reference to Cosa Nostra, which is the name of the Sicilian Mafia, or rather, it's the name that the Sicilian Mafia will refer to themselves as, the Costa, to make sure to get this right, Cosa Nostra, alright? If you ever seen Godfather, also, it's in there. So moving on, let's talk about some vessels that we really haven't seen all too well, or even if we have seen these ships, they're like usually way far in the background, we don't get them in great detail, okay? So let's start off with Aruge's ship. Why not? It's called the Hanjo Maru, Hanjo meaning prosperous or prosperity, and Maru just is like a term that you use at the end of a ship name. Like, the example would be the Go, like the Sunny Go, or the Merry Go. Hanjo Maru. Maru is kind of the same thing in that respects there. Because he's the captain of the Fallen Monks Pirates, and he is a monk, you know, just the way he presents himself. Like, remember when Kaido jumped off of the cloud, you know, he does the prayer and everything. So religion and, like, Buddhism and Shinto, that's kind of a big reference when it comes to Aruge. So the ship design has a lot of, like, shrines on it. That looks pretty neat. Also, the figurehead is a Hanya demon. Originally, it was just going to be a typical Oni, but they went with the Hanya demon instead. Hanya, it's a type of no mask, and it's basically referred to a female that has, like, intense jealousy, and there's two Naganatas that go through the figurehead. Looks pretty cool. We've actually, going back and looking at some older chapters of One Piece, we have seen this ship before, so not in great detail, but it was very clear that Oda had the design for this thing long before it was showcased in Stampede. That's what I like about Oda. He sits down and makes notes for, like, everything. It's just a matter of whether or not he'll have time and the necessary panels to showcase it in the story without derailing everything, okay? So, for the movie Stampede, he probably had like, yeah, I have all of the, the designs for the ships for the Supernovas to use in the movie. Here you go. I drew these up years ago. Might have added some finishing touches to them, like with the Hanjo Maru. Originally, it was going to be an Oni, but then he changed it to a Hanya. So, cool. Now, personally, I always remember the Hanya demon from Sekirei. Remember when Mia always is, when Minato's about to get alone with some of the Sekirei, Mia shows up and he's like, that behavior will not be tolerated here. And then, like, she smiles, but then the Hanya demon appears behind her, and they're like, okay, Mia, we'll listen to you. So that's my favorite Hanya, but what about you? All right, so that was the Hanjo Maru. This clipboard doesn't have any information about the video. I just kind of like holding it. This is where all the information is right here, so I'm just gonna tack that on. Okay, let's talk about Jewelry Bonnie's ship next. It's called the Jewelry Margherita because of pizza margarita. Why not? I don't know if it's actually pronounced margarita, but it sounds cool. Not margarita as in the drink. Margherita? Jewelry Margherita. Okay, so it's basically a ship that is designed to look like a pizza. Makes sense, given that that's Jewelry Bonnie's favorite food. We usually see her eating pizza. The first time we see her, she's eating it at Sabaody, so that makes sense there. It's designed like having a bell pepper and cheese coming off of the side of it. The first time we saw the ship in the anime, it looked like it was designed off of a cake, which that and the fact that Jewelry Bonnie has pink hair got people to think like maybe she's connected to Big Mom in some way. Maybe she's one of her lost daughters because they got the same hair color and she has a ship that looks very similar to a cake, so what's up? So the coloring that we see it in the anime during Marineford, that was actually incorrect. The proper coloring makes it look like it's actually cheese and not cream. Now, we also find out that this ship was actually taken from Big Mom, like Jewelry Bonnie stole it from her. So there's still a connection between her and Big Mom in some way. Now, the question does pop up exactly when Jewelry Bonnie got this boat, because we see it at Marineford before she goes into the New World. Most of the Yonko territory is in the New World, so maybe, hey, listen, most of the Yonko are in the New World, like their crews and everything, but it's entirely possible they might be trying to extend some influence into the other oceans, into the other half of the Grand Line, so maybe there were, some of Big Mom's ships in Paradise, and of course, they didn't have, the Sweet Commanders or Big Mom themselves backing them, so Jewelry Bonnie just wiped out the crew and then just stole the ship, and then arrived at Marineford, and then they changed the design to make it look more like a pizza because that's more of her favorite food rather than cake, and then they just went into the New World that way. Makes sense. The Yonko are emperors, so they're probably all about expanding their empires in one way or another. Eventually they would probably, conquer the New World first because that's the most dangerous sea and that's the most influential one, but then after that, conquer the other half of the Grand Line, conquer the Four Blues slowly but surely until they're emperors of the entire world. I'm sure some of them, probably not like Shanks, but when it comes to Big Mom, that's probably her ultimate goal, is to rule the world and have it be the perfect wonderland that she always envisioned, that Mother Caramel set into her, right? So maybe it's something like that. That's how, she got that ship. Next up is, we're gonna talk about X-Drake, or Diaz Drake's ship. It's called the Liberal HIND. Liberal HIND. Okay, so we know X-Drake's political ideology now. He is a liberal. So HIND is actually taken from the Golden HIND, which is Sir Francis Drake's ship. I'm going to say that again because I feel like I messed up his name. Sir Francis Drake. Now, who was Sir Francis Drake? Well, he was an English privateer back in the day, back in the 1500s, the 1570s, 1580s is when his big voyage happened. And privateers are basically legit legal pirates. They're basically given a letter of marque from the king or the queen that gives them permission to go and sack enemy ships and just basically, yeah, go and be hostile to enemy vessels like pirates would, except you're legally allowed to do that by the crown. Here's a letter of marque. Also keep in mind that was the inspiration for the warlords, being, governmentally sanctioned pirates. Same thing with privateers there. Now, the ship that Sir Francis Drake had was originally called the Pelican, but it got changed over to the Golden Hind, and that was the vessel that they actually used to circumnavigate the Earth. Kind of a big deal back in the 16th century. That was a very, very, very long voyage, and there's no guarantee you would survive. And even if you did make it all the way back to where you started, probably much of your crew crew would be depleted. Now, Sir Francis Drake was not the first person to circumnavigate the world. That was, of course, Magellan and Elcano's expedition. However, Magellan didn't make it the whole way. Magellan died, I think the expedition started in 1519. Magellan died in 1521, and Elcano was the one that actually made it all the way back to Spain. So, you know, I guess he could take the credit for that, I suppose. You know, who does get the credit for that? Magellan because he started it, or Elcano because he's the one that actually made it back? You know, I don't know. But anyway, so Sir Francis Drake was not the first person to circumnavigate it, but he did in fact do it. Also, he landed in Northern California in the United States, where it wasn't the United States yet, but he landed there way back in the 16th century, right? And he named it Nova Albion, or New Albion, just a little place, you know, north of San Francisco in California, although it wasn't California at that point. Not really a big deal at the time. It's not like they set up a permanent settlement there or anything, just kind of a place to rest and do repairs and things, and then he sailed away. However, it kind of became a big deal later on when England started to colonize, you know, the New World, and then the thing with the colonies and the Americans, and, you know, it's like, wait, we actually already have a claim to this place. You know, this Drake dude landed here a few hundred years ago, so we already own claim to this land. It was like, okay, that got a little bit difficult, and then strut-a-ding, strut-a-bum, a revolutionary war happens, you know, you read about it in your history books. But there you go, there's the origin to a fictional dinosaur pirate's ship. Moving on. No, actually, the design of Drake's ship, pretty cool. So what happened was, I originally thought it was just because Drake used to be a rear admiral. I originally thought it was Drake's actual ship when he was a rear admiral, and he just changed it over, like gave it a new fresh coat of paint and made it his own pirate ship. It seems to be not the case, because the hull of it is actually it has a special shape. It looks like Drake's hat from before the time skip, right? Like that kind of bicorn thing, or tricorn, or whatever the hell he was wearing, right? And it's actually not colored black, it's colored mostly red. So, you know, the opposite color of blue is red, is it? I don't know, but you think it would be, right? There's Pokemon red and blue version, so in this case, you know, Drake is like, alright, the Marines are gonna have color blue, we're gonna have color red, to show, like, for one thing, red flag Diaz Drake. The red flag resembles, you know, he is a traitor to the Marines, and also it's just the opposite color pattern, okay? So, his ship actually looks pretty cool. It's not every day you see, like, a bright red ship, and I think it works. The bright red and then the golden insignia for the Drake pirates, I think it makes it work. It also goes into detail about how, because he did sail on a marine vessel for most of his life, because he was a rear admiral, he of course is accustomed to the practicality of it, okay? So when he became a pirate, Drake was like, alright, we're gonna have my own ship because I'm a pirate and everything, but the design of it is gonna be very similar to a marine vessel because I just like the way those things handle. They're very practical in the field, and that's what I've been trained in, and that's what I know how to captain, so let's, you know, have a few flourishes, you know, change up the color palette, maybe the shape of the hull can be modified a little bit, but for the most part, I want all the riggings and everything just to be like a regular marine ship, like a battleship for them, because that's what I'm used to, right? So that makes sense there. Then we have Apu's ship, which can either be referred to as the Stay Tuned, or I think the better translation is the Stay Tuned. Alright, because he's the captain of the on-air pirates, DJing is a big thing for his crew. His ship has a giant, like, megaphone coming out of the figurehead that's actually practical, it works. Then he has some more traditional speakers there. He's got drums on the sides, you know, so literally, like, you always know when the on-air pirates are coming to town. You know, they just start sailing and you hear them before you actually see their ship on the horizon, you know? Imagine you're just on some random island, you're just, you know, tilling your crops or whatever, and then all of a sudden you just hear like some hip-hop in the distance, but this is the One Piece world, so you don't really know what hip-hop is, and all of a sudden you have freaking Apu coming, you're like, check it out, we're here, and everyone's like, what the hell? And then so they just land on the freaking town, and either Apu, you know what I like to think? I like Apu, he's a pirate, so he's gonna do the typical pirate stuff, like sacking islands and stealing stuff. But I also like to think Apu, you know, after he's done sacking the village, or maybe before he does that, maybe when they first land, he's like, hey everybody, you wanna have a dance party tonight? Hit it, DJ! And they all start, you know, starting up the turntables and everything, and the whole, like, island gets into it, like the kids are dancing, and the teens are, like, doing some crazy stuff. It's just like, yeah, we're dancing, this is crazy, you know? And then while they're doing that, Well, like I'm assuming the Stay Tuned also has like disco lights and strobe lights and lasers shooting out of it. You know, like it's a rave wherever this ship goes. And while everybody's partying and getting drunk and dancing the night away, that's when the crew sneaks into town and steals all the food and all the money. And they go back and just like, all right, everybody, we don't do encore. Signing out later. And they sail away. We need to see more of Apu's crew. I feel like Apu's crew doesn't get to be seen all that much. He's in Wano, apparently. It's just we don't get to see him. He's there somewhere, all right? So that's the Stay Tuned. Pretty sweet ship. We got the Victoria Punk, which is the ship used by the Kid crew. It looks like a dinosaur skeleton, which might very well be a dinosaur skeleton. It could be. It's the One Piece world. Dinosaurs are real. Go watch the Little Garden video I did the other day. But no, it looks like a marine kind of reptile dino, you know, like that giant thing at the end of the Jurassic World that ate that Indominus Rex thing. That looks like what it is, like Megalodon or something. Or the Zenith Carrier Zord, which points to anybody who noticed that back there. It's just like, what is that? Is that... I had to have something to fill that dead space there, and just like, the Zenith Carrier Zord from Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. It was a space shark at one point, so it works, right? You know, so congratulations to anyone that noticed that. But yeah, Victoria Punk, Victoria probably because of the Victorian era, and then Punk just because, well, look at Kid's crew. I mean, like 80s punk, there you go, right there, right? Pretty cool design, pretty hard-rocking kind of design. If you got, like, I could see why Apu wanted to join up with Hawkins and with, Kid, because they both kind of look like they could be part of, like, a metal band. You know, like, you could take some Ozzy Osbourne, Black Sabbath kind of things with Hawkins' crew, and then you got like the punk, like heavy metal maybe a little bit with Kid's crew, probably more heavy metal with Kid. But then you have Apu, who's all about like hip hop and rap and things. They'd be an awesome, you know, like trio with that. You know, Apu would probably try to get them convinced to be in his band, and Hawkins is like, I don't want to be in your band. It's like, come on, Hawkins, you can rock with me. Come on, do it. So, right, okay. So, yeah, pretty cool ship, pretty badass design there. By the way, the giant dinosaur skeleton in Stampede looks yellow. Not really the color I think I would have went with it, because it kind of makes it look fake, but I would have just gone with like regular white. And I'll tell you what I would have done. I would have made it like either a black skeleton or a white skeleton, but the white skeleton is filled with like a bunch of cracks in it. Maybe not actual cracks, because that might not be smart for a sailing vessel, but like, you know, painted on cracks to give it the illusion of like age. You know, like it's an actual fossilized dinosaur that they built a ship around, you know? Oh, by the way, also the jaw of that thing can open and close. So you can like open it up and you can like look into it and it's like, oh, enemy is attacking, close the jaw. All right, begin the attack. Or you could get the jaw next to an enemy ship and just take a bite out of it. That'd be pretty sweet. What do we got next? I think we only have one more after that. Yeah, we just have Hawkins' vessel, which is the GRUDGE DORF. DORF is a German word that I'm probably not pronouncing right, but it means village, so literally the name of the ship is Grudge Village. In terms of a design, I mean, there's a lot of these that are really cool. I like the Stay Tuned. I like that ship. I really like the Victoria Punk. The Polar Tang is always really sweet. But out of these new ones that are introduced, I'm probably going to go with the GRUDGE DORF, Hawkins' ship, as my favorite. Look at this thing. Look at this thing. The figurehead is a voodoo straw doll with just a huge black nail spike right through its head. Like, that looks like a genuine terrifying pirate ship, okay? If you see the Jori Margherita arriving, you'd be like, a giant piece of pizza's attacking us, you know? And then you have Apu Stay Tuned. It's like you can't even really see most of the ship. There's a giant freaking horn coming out of it. But then you get this thing sailing to town. You look at that, you would probably, you know, crap your pants. You'd be like, okay, that is terrifying, okay? The deck of the ship has a bunch of straw huts like a village, you know, so there's hence the name there. Grudges are, of course, you know, voodoo and everything because, you know, Hawkins can use his powers to turn people into, like, or represent them by voodoo dolls and then they can die and stuff, like bearing a grudge, you know? So it fits the motive, but just the figurehead alone and all the straw dolls and and the faces, the creepy voodoo faces lining the whole thing. The whole entire ship looks like it's woven straight out of straw. Just the creativity here and the cool aesthetic and the figurehead, this is easily my favorite. All right, you see this thing coming to town, you run in the opposite direction. It's not gonna end well. Brownbeard was a freaking idiot. Brownbeard is at Food Vaultin, that place that Whitebeard used to control, and then Whitebeard died, and then Brownbeard ripped it down, and he's like, I'm in control of this island now. He's like, sir, look in the distance. What is it? It's a pirate ship. Who cares? No, you don't understand. It's the Grudge DORF. There's a voodoo doll with a spike right through the head. We should really get out of here. This doesn't bode well. Brownbeard's like, whatever. Well, look what happened to Brownbeard. He got turned into a crocodile centaur by Caesar and Law. And then he got betrayed by Caesar. That's what you get. I don't know. All right, but anyway, yeah, those are all of the new ships we find out. Yeah, so let me know which one was your favorite below. Like I said, mine's probably the Grudge DORF. And if you're German, let me know how I am mispronouncing that word, because it seems like an easy word. There's only 4 letters, D-O-R-F, but I feel like I'm messing the pronunciation up on that. I'm trying to learn Japanese right now, and I'm not even that good at that. Maybe I'll tackle German after that. Yeah, but anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Apologies. I mean, I can't nothing to apologize for. It's not my fault the chapter's not out, but as soon as the chapter gets released, I'll get on the review. It might be tomorrow, though, or it might be Sunday or even Monday, but I'll get to it as soon as I can. Thanks for watching, everybody, and thanks to Barry the Brick on his second episode here. I really wanted him to be on the review today. I was getting excited for him to be in the review, but it just didn't work out, and his contract is up next video. It's up, so Barry, if the review doesn't come out tomorrow, I don't know. I mean, I might be able to renew your contract, but I don't know, man. Nothing's set in stone yet. All right, everybody, later. I have to go get my wheels aligned in my car right now, so bye!